All right. Hello. Hello to those of you who are here and that are live. Welcome. Glad to have you here on our June 2022 live. Incredibly enough, it's already June in 2022. Yeah, that which is just crazy to be honest. It is summer here, full blown summer in Florida. I don't know where y'all live, but yeah, it is. It was 93 degrees at 8 p.m. here in Florida, which basically just means my hair can just forget it when it goes outside. It's instant poof. So, um, all right. So I'm sure it's getting to be summertime where all of y'all are, but just wanted to welcome y'all here to the live. Now, a few things I want to mention before we get started with all the things is for those of you who watched my last video all about the off-grid cooking, we were on the grill. That was a fun video for me. I got a lot of great comments from y'all. But it dawned on me when I watched it that I showed you guys my husband was in the video and I never mentioned his name. So big fail on my part. His name is Joshua and he is a huge help to me on this channel. I honestly could not be here without him not only supporting me, but he does a lot of behind the scenes work as well. So, and he actually going to be helping me out in the comments of this live video. So if you receive a comment from Grains and Grit, it is most likely from my husband, and many thanks from him. Okay, so for everyone, another thing I want to say is for everyone who has been purchasing my course since we launched it on Friday, thank you so very much. I truly am humbled and in awe of y'all's support. And because of you, that allows me to keep on doing this. I love seeing that y'all clearly support this message of real whole grains, and y'all purchasing from me just really helps the message to keep going. And of course, many thanks as always to my elite supporter group or my private membership group. Thank y'all for supporting me every single month and for being a part in our MeWe group and listening to the podcast and all the things. So if you're interested in my course, we're still in the launch phase, how to master prepping with grains. We will talk about that later, but that all the links for that will be in the comments in the description box below, as well as our membership group if you are interested in that as well. All right. So, hello, everyone. I know that y'all are coming from everywhere. We have Louisiana, from Fort Lauderdale. Yay, another Floridian. Hello. Pennsylvania, Virginia. So, let's do something fun, whether you are watching this live or you are watching the rerun. Let's do something fun and tell me, how long have you been milling your grains? So, where are you at in your journey? I'd really like to know. For me, I've been doing this for 11 years before it was a thing to do. And so, but many of y'all here are new. All right, we have, let's see, Arkansas, Missouri. I think that's Minnesota. Well, y'all are from everywhere. That is so amazing to have y'all here. Okay, so let's get down to some hardcore business here. Oh boy. So we're going to be talking today. We're going to be having some serious talks about food shortages, inflation, what is all going on with all the things. So bottom line, if you have not started preparing for hard times, now is an excellent time to start. Like yesterday was an excellent time to start. It is definitely good to start now if you haven't been doing that. Because let's face it, y'all, in the past few months, we are definitely seeing some pretty hard times coming down. And now it's actually becoming more mainstream. So in the past couple of months, I've done videos talking about, food distribution centers that have been on fire mysteriously, like we're in series of unfortunate events here. We wore the tin hat for that one. We talked about the Azure Standard fire, things like that. So, and since then, y'all have actually been coming to me with way more distribution centers that I didn't know about. I think today I saw something about a big, what do you call it? Like chicken egg hatchery. One of the big ones was on fire. I have not verified that today. If y'all have that verified, feel free to post a link about that. But I saw that today, and I frequently go into the grocery stores and I see shortages, or at the very least, prices really going up, and they're going up fast. I mean, eggs now are higher than I've seen in a while. Milk is pretty high, and those things, like I've seen butter keep increasing, things like that. So yeah, it's getting crazy. And then on top of that, we're now seeing mainstream media and banks, and even though I don't fully trust everything that mainstream media, mainstream banks come out with, but when they even start saying that we are possibly looking at a recession, on top of my alternative resources and channels saying we're heading into hard times, that's kind of whenever I start paying a little attention, eyebrows raise. So I see the chats, y'all absolutely going crazy. I'm unable to keep up with everyone. Do know that if you have a very important question that you are wanting to make sure that I answer or anything, we do have super chats available right below the chat box. It's where you can basically give a super chat a little tip. It flags it for me that I'm able to see it, or if it also just helps support this channel as well. So I do thank y'all for that. I do see that it looks like a lot of y'all are kind of new to this, or I know many of y'all have been messaging me saying that you can't wait to get started. You've been waiting on your grain mills, because I know that grain mills right now, especially I think the mock mill, have been back ordered. I personally am waiting for my Wonder Junior Deluxe hand mill, which I'm super excited about getting. I'm personally waiting for that, but it's been on back order. And so I'm patiently waiting for that. Okay. So let's get back to the facts. And again, ask questions. I will try to answer as many questions as I can at the end, or maybe throughout, but facts. Let's get to the facts. The fact number one is it is time to be the ant. If y'all if y'all have signed up for my newsletter and you receive my weekly newsletter went out today, this morning, and I talked about being the ant, not the grasshopper. For those who know the story, it is time to be preparing for winter, to be working hard right now when times are good, to be like Joseph before the 7 years of famine in Egypt, and time to start stocking up on grains, because we're just seeing a lot of bad things. I know I have one, the Washington Post, out. World Bank warned where global economy may suffer 1970s style stagflation, risk of further deterioration amounting. And they're talking about how, especially in developing nations, it's really going to be getting very challenging. We see, of course, food inflation, food prices are up. I mean, just there are so many things right now. Inflation is all the way up. And then we're seeing all these food facilities catch on fire. And now monkeypox is trying to be the new Rona that we're apparently never going to get rid of. And then Russia and Ukraine is still happening. Europe has stopped buying Russia oil. And then there's gas prices that I don't even want to talk about. I don't know where you live, but right here, they're creeping at $5 a gallon here in Florida. So for those of you who are coming to Florida to vacation for the summer, be aware, gas is expensive here. Almost, I think we gassed up for about $4.70-ish the other day, somewhere there. So yeah. So we see that, and we're up with Washington Post. U.S. News is also reporting on it. Is another recession coming in the U.S. Watch for these warning signs, and one is, or a recession, and one is high inflation, check, a negative yield curve, check, and geopolitical uncertainty, double, triple, quadruple check. So I think we've checked all those boxes right there. And So yeah, I do think we are headed to hard times now. I can't remember who said it, but I saw where some people were saying that basically we have a hurricane coming, which is a metaphor that us Floridians and Southerners do understand. When a hurricane comes, everyone is prepared, but you don't always necessarily know if it's going to be a category 1 or a category 5. And to give y'all a general idea of how us Floridians think, category 1 and 2, you're still going to lose power. We can get through this. You're going to lose some limbs, maybe a tree. Kind of all depends. Coastal areas definitely evacuate. Cat 3 and up, that's when we actually start evacuating. And Cat 5, utter destruction. So I don't know how bad it's going to get, but I do know that prices keep rising. I do know that times are they're just getting harder. We still have supply chain issues, and I mean, who knows? And whenever I start seeing where, the government of the US is saying, oh, we're going to help fix supply chain issues, and anytime the government says we're here to help, oh, I shudder, because please go away. Oh, holy cow, $6.19 in Central California for gas. Okay, yeah, my rural maker life said JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon made the hurricane prediction. Thank you for that source. That, I think that is what we saw as well. So even JP Morgan is talking about the economic hurricane, as we shall say. So again, we don't know, but that's one thing that I preach about all the time. And one thing that I really talk about in my brand new course, if you are not aware of that, I do have a course out now, how to master prepping with grains, because I do believe hardcore, and I've preached this from the beginning, that grains, real whole grains, should be the staple of your diet, of your home, of your prepper pantry. We should be milling our own wheat, baking our own bread. This is grains that have been sustaining humanity for thousands of years. But in this course, I specifically go in and talk to you guys about how to be prepping with grains. And the link is in the comments. We're putting that grainsandgrit.com/prep with grains if you want to check out the course. But I tell you basically all the things. I've been milling my own wheat, stocking grains, storing them in all kinds of ways for 11 years now. I've even stored grains outside. No joke. I've done all the things. And the wonderful thing about grains is it is so simple. I know that so many people, and I get one of the number one questions I get, besides what grain mill to get, what wheat berries to get, is how to store grains. And grains are not complicated. I'm a mom. I'm a homeschooling mom. I stay at home. I have this YouTube channel. My husband owns his own business. He works from home. I am busy. Okay. We have a large family. I am busy, and I like things simple. And grains aren't complicated. You don't need all the Mylar bags or the vacuum seals or even the oxygen absorbers for grains. And so that's the beauty of stocking up on them. There's no canning. It's easy, and they store for practically forever. So I highly recommend that you check out that course. It is for beginners. For if you have no clue how to start a prepper pantry, where to begin, this course is for you. If you're already experienced with keeping a good supply on hand of a prepper pantry fully stocked, this course is still for you, especially because many times people ignore grains completely, or at best they get like white rice. So good job. You're now going to be severely nutritionally deficient, most likely. So definitely check out the course. But let's talk about other things to do right now. So we see that things are going to be getting bad. I think we can pretty much all agree that in some way, the world is not looking good. Economy is not looking good. And please know that I do not say these things to cause a panic, to cause people to be fearful. As Christians, God tells us over and over again to not fear. Do not fear. So first of all, what to do is don't panic. Do not be fearful at all. If you are a Christian, if you are walking with the Lord, He has promised that He will take care of this. The Bible says that I am young. I have been young, and now I am old, and I have never seen the righteous forsaken, or the righteous begging for bread. And I completely butchered that verse. My husband knows that verse. If he's able to put that in the comments, That'd be great. Thanks, babe. So, but there's so many verses in the Bible for that. So don't panic, don't fear, but start being the ant and be wise, and start preparing as best you can. And the great thing is you can do this whether you are like me, where we're in the country and we can have the chickens and the goats and the cows and we have the land and things like that, or you can do it if you're in an apartment in the middle of a big city. You can do something. I definitely recommend that if you just to start growing some sort of food, even if it's just herbs in your kitchen window, and yet you're stocking up on grains as well. I mean, just good seasonings. Hello, that will elevate any dish if you do need it. Okay, yeah, we have the verse. I have been young and now I'm old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Psalm 37:25. Thanks, babe. Amazing, amazing verse there. So, another thing is if you have a little bit of space, grow what you can and always start with things that you like. If you don't know what to grow, if you have no clue about gardening, check with your local extension office. And every single state, it's usually tied to one of the major agricultural type universities. So here in the state of Florida, it is the University of Florida that have extension offices in every county, and they're the ones who help you, tell you what grows well in your area. So every place has different growing zones. We've actually used the extension office just to ask, hey, we're needing grass for cattle. What grass grows well in our sandy soil here in the heat, things like that. And they definitely help you. So again, you can do container garden herbs with, in just your kitchen window. If you have a little space in your backyard, you can do container gardening there. If you can get chickens, anyone can get chickens. If you have a backyard, as long as you don't get a rooster, no one's really going to know that they're there. Chickens are super easy. They are actually very relaxing to watch pick around and everything like that. So there are certain things that you can do. And of course, grains. Get the grains. They are so easy to stock up on. All right. So I'm seeing people talk about Azure not having grains. Let's talk about Azure Standard. That is predominantly where I purchase my grains right now, but there are so many other places to get grains. I've added a brand my website. It is, if you go to grainsandgrit.com to dash buy dash, I think my husband will probably put it up here. I keep this page updated as best as I can on where to buy grains. So it's not just Amazon, Pleasant Hill Grains, Country Life, Natural Foods. We have True Leaf Market, Farm Fresh Wheat. I'm adding more as I get them. And there are other wonderful companies that I recommend as well, like Redmond for their real salt, because I do believe an excellent salt, you need it to preserve things. It makes food taste better. I have coupon codes for them. So any coupon codes, anything like that, that's where you can find them. And I keep that list up to date. But let's talk about Azure Standard. They are not out of grains. And right now I've talked to wheat farmers. I've interviewed with wheat farmers. There's not necessarily a grain shortage right now. As far as farmers go, right now, a lot of them are about to start harvesting come July for new crops. Many of them do have them in their grain silos. They are having issues with labor, as always. And that's kind of it. I know Azure stated that they have grains, but there are so many orders for them. They're having difficulty keeping up with cleaning them and shipping them out. But there are other places that you can buy them as well. And so definitely check out that page on my website. So grainsandgrit.com. If you go to shop, it's a drop where to buy grains. And that's where you can see that. Okay. So, and if you have other places that I don't even know, feel free to list them because there are tons of places, but that's the most up to date right now. But Azure Standard, they generally are the cheapest. But because of that, everyone's going to them and you're more likely to have, to maybe not get your order. Hard white is extremely popular right now. So if you were having difficulty getting hard white wheat, definitely get some hard red wheat. Remember, hard red and hard white are for your yeast spreads. So they're both going to do excellent if you're wanting those the big loaf yeast spreads. Either one is totally fine. And then soft white wheat for your baked goods. And if those are the only three wheats that you focus on, even just one hard wheat and one soft wheat, you're really good. So you don't have to be like me with like the obscene ridiculous variety of grains. I think I counted them the other day because it makes me happy. And I think I have like over 30 different types of different types of grains. And by grains, I'm meaning beans, rice, corn, all the different types of wheat berries. I may have a little obsession problem, but it's okay. It's okay. I use them. Don't judge. Okay. So that's where we're at. So the biggest thing is, again, be prepared. Don't panic, because I have been there before where I remember years ago, we were being told everything's about to go down. We're in big trouble. And we were in a little apartment in a city. And I remember thinking, oh, we are going to die. Our neighbors are going to raid us. We've got to get out into the land. And that was years ago. So I am in a better position, but just know that my journey started a long time ago, many years ago. So do not be discouraged if you are not at the place that I am or where someone else is. We all have to start somewhere, and you can start today. You can start today by going down to the grocery store the next time you go grocery shopping and pick you up an extra bag of dried beans and rice. They've got that in the grocery store. They have larger ones, Sam's Club. Sam's Club has 25-pound bags of rice, larger amount of beans. So you can just start that way. Just start small with an extra, $5 or $10, and you can do it. So don't panic, calm down. It's going to be fine. And don't compare where you are to someone else. Just do the best you can right now and leave the results up to God. Proverbs 21:31 states that the horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord. So we do what we can, leave the results up to God. And then, of course, Matthew 10, just give some comfort to you guys. Remember, Matthew 10:29, are not two sparrows sold for a farthing, which is basically pennies, and one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father. And then it goes on, fear ye not, therefore ye are of more value than many sparrows. So the Lord is watching out for us. There's no need to panic. Just start doing what you can right now with where you're at. Okay, so let's get to some questions that I have seen y'all say. I think someone asked what corn I get. I've been getting that question lately because I have been talking about grits and cornbread, and I did hoe cakes on the grill with my last video. So here's the thing about corn. That was an excellent question. Generally, when you go to buy dried corn, it's usually dent corn, which is what you want. And I either go with yellow or with white. And you can buy this organically, so you don't have to worry about it being genetically modified, because yellow sweet corn is a GMO crop. But so long as you're buying organic, it is not genetically modified. And I do currently get it from Azure Standard. But again, many other places do sell the grains as well. See my website for all the different places. Excuse me. But that was an excellent question. So that's what you do use if you're wanting to mill corn for like your cornmeal, your hoe cakes, your cornbread, those type of things, white or yellow corn. You can also do popcorn as well. I personally have never tried that because I can get the dent corn just fine. And that's what I prefer to use, because I prefer using popcorn for popcorn because I love popcorn. So those are the things. Now, another question with popcorn is, with corn, can you just throw them in your mill? Now, I do have the Nutrimil Harvest, which is a stone grind mill, and I am able to grind dent corn in the mill, but it does take longer than wheat berries because it is bigger, and I do have to adjust my stones a little bit. I can also throw them into my Wonder Mill electric grain mill, no problem as well. Okay, so we have a question. Dottie, how do we use einkorn? Like hard or soft wheat, or is it something else? Okay, I'm actually doing a video soon. I'm going to start featuring specific type of grains and what to do with them. But einkorn is not used like hard or soft wheat. Einkorn is an ancient grain. It's a little bit more difficult to use. That's actually the first grain I'm going to be going into. I believe that's not this Friday's video, but next Friday's video. I actually really like to use einkorn in my muffin recipe. It's really nice and spongy and it's wonderful. But einkorn, just know, is a bit tricky to use. Okay, so James Harris, does wheat have to be cooked to release the nutrients? No. So remember, they are wheat berries. It's a seed, and we even see in the Bible. I can't remember where, but it does talk about how the disciples were going through a field. It was on the Sabbath day, and they were pulling. The King James says corn, but that's wheat from the stalks and eating them. And the Pharisees were all up in arms that they were doing that. So no, you get the nutrients. I mean, it's a seed and all the nutrients are in the seed. Now, the thing is with wheat berries, what happens is those nutrients stay locked in the seed until you mill it, meaning you're opening it up or you sprout it. So if you sprout it, you need to plant it or consume it. But whenever we start breaking open the wheat berry, it's everything starts to oxidize, and that's why we mill it as fresh as possible and bake it. Because once you bake it, that generally slows down that oxidation process greatly. So that's the thing about wheat. So no, you can't actually. My kids actually sometimes like going into my wheat and pulling out just wheat berries and having them as a snack because they're kind of weird. And so they kind of munch on them. Okay, so next question. We have one about. There's a lot here. Okay, so spelt is more for cakes and cookies, right? Yes and no, as far as spelt goes. So spelt is another ancient grain. My favorite uses of spelt is I actually like to combine it with my hard red wheat in my yeast spreads. I can do generally a 3/4 hard red to a quarter spelt, maybe a little bit higher on the spelt ratio because spelt it's not going to rise as well for your tall yeast loaves. But it's excellent to mix into. It's also great for pancakes. You can do muffins, things like that, but just know spelt is not going to get really, really high with your loaf breads. Okay. So again, let's see. Do you think we should be saving what grains we have? That's a question from Kate Murphy. Well, I still say, I mean, use grain. I think we should be using grains now. I mean, we need to be consuming real whole grains now. It is healthy for us. It's again, it's what's been sustaining humanity for thousands of years. It is good to eat, but just rotate and work on getting a stockpile of what you use. So I actually do have a free grain calculator for you guys. If you sign up for my newsletter, I'll have the link in the description box below. Signing up for my newsletter under the specific one for your free grain calculator is going to help you calculate how much grains roughly you need for your family for however long you're wanting to stock up for. So what I always recommend, and these are things that I do get into my course about, is how to maintain and stock up and rotate and what I do and like all the things. I do really dive deep in my course. But bottom line is use what you have right now, but just be adding to it and don't let yourself get below a certain amount. So just be using it. And when it gets down to whatever your threshold is that you're comfortable with, make sure you're adding more. And that's with anything in your prepper pantry. If you want to make sure that you stay stocked up on butter or baking soda, I mean, set a threshold. Okay, I'm not going to allow myself to get below X amount of pounds of butter. And so that way, when you go to the store, you just have to look to see how much you have. And then, when you go to the store, okay, I need to get this much of whatever item I'm wanting to maintain that stockpile. Okay, so let me see here. How do you sprout hard white wheat? Oh, sprouting. This is also a question I address in my prepper pantry, my How to Master prepping with grains course, I do talk about briefly how to sprout grains and the equipment you need for it. It's actually not hard. Just remember, sprouting, all that means is that you're getting the wheat berries wet. You want the water drained off of it. They start sprout, and then they're going to start sprouting. So remember, wheat berries, they are seeds. And think about how you get a seed to grow. Now, generally, you're planting it, but bottom line, it's the moisture. It's when the seed gets wet, that's whenever it then starts to sprout. So that is how you're sprouting with them. Okay, so I got to sort through all these here. Okay, so again, trying to find here. So again, okay, so my husband is linking all these things that I'm talking about in the comments as well. All right, and I'm loving all these comments that y'all have. Y'all are so active. All right, so we have someone that says, my amaranth won't mill and my Nutrimil. Do you have this problem? I do not, but amaranth is a smaller grain, so you probably just really need to adjust those stones. Now, for those of you who have the Nutrimil Harvest, I get questions about if I'm able to get fine flour with the stone mill, and I definitely do. I generally like to so when you turn the mill on and you adjust on top where how close the stones are together, I usually adjust until I kind of start hearing them squeak. So it's it's quiet when you turn it on, but whenever those stones start to squeak, that's when I know that it's going to be fine enough for me to put my grains in. So it's possible with amaranth, you may just need to dial it even further. Don't be scared of the squeakiness of the stones in order to mill that more. Okay. All right. So people are saying, oh, planting rye this winter, just a trial run. Oh, cool beans. So definitely if you really want to be extra, and you have the space, plant your own grains, because that's definitely the next step that I haven't even done. And I don't know if I ever will, other than beans, corn. I don't know if we will ever try wheat berries, although we're now probably going to have to try it. All right. So if there's any other questions, it's been 32 minutes already, so we can start wrapping this up. If there's any other questions, be sure to comment with them now. Via Logo said, thanks for the cream of wheat recipe. Loved it. You are welcome. Many of y'all have been really enjoying the cream of wheat. And I have to say, whenever I made it for the video, I was reminded of just how simple it was and wondered why I don't do this even more often. Okay. Oh, okay. So we have Tig Alexander. What format will the prepper class be in? Okay. So it is online. Whenever you do purchase the course, it is, you get an email that gives you the link to access the course and all the videos and all the freebies that go with it. And you can actually download them onto your computer or view them online. So it's actually very flexible and very, very easy. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, y'all. It's been 30 minutes. Don't want to take too much. Okay, we have more questions. So have you ever made grain bowl recipes? I have. My favorite one is actually with quinoa. And this is a recipe I sent out to my members. So we do have a membership group with Grains and Grit. For those of you who were not here at the beginning, they get weekly recipes. They get extra recipes every single week in their email inbox. We also have a private MeWe group and a private podcast. And this is a recipe that I did actually send them before. So it's quinoa. Cook the quinoa with like black beans and guacamole and onions and corn. So think like Southwestern type grain bowl. I'm actually a huge fan. It was actually really, really good. So quinoa, I think, does very well if you're wanting like your typical bowl of grains. Also with with beans, they do awesome as well. Okay, so we have another one. Lisa, do you cook the sprouts or just eat them raw? I assume you're meaning if we sprout wheat berries. I don't sprout my wheat berries, but again, I have done a video before. It's a video about where I talk about phytic acid. And if I were to sprout my wheat berries, I would probably, for the sake of simplicity, boil them like what you can do even if they're not sprout. I would probably boil them and eat them like a porridge. Basically, that's the easiest way to do it. Otherwise, if you sprout your wheat berries, you then have to dry them completely before milling them. which, that's a lot of time and effort, things like that. You could eat them raw. You could eat them raw, no problem. Again, these are seeds. It's not meat where you might get, E. coli or something if you were to eat it raw. So yes, you can absolutely do that. I don't see why not. Okay, so I think we're good. I keep saying that. So for those of you who watched live, thank you so very much for being here. I love these. And if y'all have any other questions, even whenever it's not live, comment down below. And then and we'll try to answer those as best as we can. And if y'all have any other questions, if y'all have any other suggestions for live videos, if you enjoy the lives, let me know that as well. Otherwise, I hope y'all have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you on Friday with the new video. The video on Friday is going to be a different one. I'm actually collaborating with someone, and I'm really, really excited about it. You're going to love who I'm with. All right. So thank you so much, guys, for your kind comments. And thank you, everyone who purchased the course. Again, all the links. We're still in the launch phase of how to master prepping with grains course. We also have our membership group. So I'll see you on the other side, and have a great evening. Bye.